So I completely missed this. I meant to talk about this on the last episode of Nintendo Switchcraft, and I just forgot. I blanked on it. There was all of these rumors going around about Persona 5R, and Persona 5R was like somebody had registered the domain p5r.jp, or Atlas had registered it. So everybody was like, oh, what's this? Perhaps it's a Nintendo Switch version. And then Atlas made an announcement, and at the very beginning of the announcement, it showed like the PlayStation logo, and then showed like a little blurb that basically said, we're going to have something to talk about with Persona 5R soon. And that was pretty much it. Now, there's a lot of people out there who were just assuming, myself included, we were all just kind of assuming that Persona 5 was going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And we based that on the fact that Joker from Persona 5 is the first new character that's been unveiled for DLC at the Game Awards. They had him show up and steal an invitation to with the Smash logo on it, and it was pretty much the biggest announcement of the Game Awards was the fact that Joker was coming to, or Joker from Persona 5 was coming to Smash Brothers as DLC later. Now, since then, Mr. Sakurai has said that he's not even playable at this point. They're still in the early stages of development. They've got a lot more work to do on him, but he's coming along nicely. So there's that. But people assumed that when this P5R.jp was announced, that it would come alongside the idea that it was coming to the Switch, that Persona 5 would be on the Nintendo Switch. And this video shows a PlayStation logo and says nothing about the Switch. So a lot of people were just assuming that means no Switch for Persona 5, but I don't think that that's true. I think that we can still assume that Persona 5 is going to be coming to the Switch, and that's mostly because Nintendo is probably holding back the Nintendo announcement until they have their January Nintendo Direct. Now, when I assume that people at Nintendo would probably have liked it if this Persona 5R announcement hadn't already happened. They probably would have wanted it to show up in the Direct first. But with the domain name registration leaking, I feel like perhaps Atlas decided that they wanted to put something out, or maybe Sony said, "Hey, we're going to pay you to make sure that we have a timed exclusive." We don't know what's happening with Persona 5R. We don't know if it's coming to the Switch. I would assume that it is, based on just his inclusion in Smash. And, there's a lot of people who have not played Persona 5, myself included. There's a lot of people who've not played it because the only console that they have is the Switch. And that is a very quickly growing base of people who have the Switch. And I'm sure that there's a significant percent of people who have the Switch who don't have any other platform to play a game on. And as that base grows and grows and grows, I'm sure that that is a very appealing target audience for a company like Atlas to be able to bring a game like Persona 5 to the Nintendo Switch. So we always have to remember to temper our expectations. Just because Joker is in Smash Brothers, or is coming to Smash Brothers, doesn't mean that we're going to get Persona 5 on the Switch. However, I still think it's likely. Just because Persona 5R has been announced and the Switch hasn't been mentioned doesn't mean we're not going to be getting Persona 5 on the Switch. There are a whole lot of moving parts behind the scenes that we as video game players, we don't have access to, and we don't understand the workings behind the scenes. And I'm sure that if Persona 5 is not coming to the Switch, I'm sure that there's a good reason. And if Persona 5 is coming to the Switch and they didn't announce it in this video, then I'm sure there's a good reason for that as well. And only time will tell. That being said, in January, at the rumored Nintendo Direct in January, if we don't hear something about Persona 5R, then I think that's time for some red flags to go up. So, remember to take rumors with a grain of salt, because we never know what's really happening behind the scenes.